Hey everyone, and welcome back to another news alert. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and thank you so much for tuning into Boyd News. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more updates like this. And feel free to support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee. Links are in the description below the video. So overnight, Ukrainian drones were paying a visit into Russia once again. Drone sanctions have reportedly been applied to Russia's Ryazan oil refinery near Moscow, as Ukraine's general staff is confirming direct strikes on the same refinery that has been hit numerous times this year and many times being shut down for repairs. Here's a new story for you here on your screen. Ukrainian drones struck Russia's Ryazan oil refinery again overnight. The Ryazan oil refinery produces gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, liquefied gases, and other petroleum products. It manufactures about 840,000 tons of TS-1 aviation fuel annually. So this massive oil refinery, I think one of the largest inside of Russia, very close to Moscow, has been hit once again. I don't know how many times Ukraine has struck this place, probably more than 10 or 20 times this year. A huge fire broke out over there, as you can see here in the picture. The night skies were lit up as a huge flame was coming from the facility. I do have pictures and videos to share with you guys today. Nothing super up close, but it does look like we have a huge fire there on the grounds of this refinery. So we'll talk more about that here in just a minute. Other top headline news. We have reports that NATO reconnaissance aircraft were recently patrolling the Black Sea off the coast of Crimea and Russia's Black Sea coast. After the night before Ukraine carried out probably one of the largest attacks on Russia to date, completely disabling Russia's oil port of Novorossiysk. We talked about that yesterday. We have new satellite images to take a look at with you today that possibly confirm up to 4 air defense systems that were destroyed during that massive attack, and that could be very big news that we had apparently a pretty large grouping of air defense systems over there on the port of Novorossiysk at the time of the strike, and that's why we saw such big explosions. So very big information today. Aside from that, we have new videos coming out from the Saratov region of Russia that show the Saratov oil refinery still burning for the second day after Ukraine struck the facility on Thursday night. New NASA fire maps indicate the blaze at the facility is pretty large. Huge damage could have been caused to the refinery, which we now know as of yesterday has halted oil processing operations, which I did a whole video on this yesterday evening. So crazy news, lots of information to cover. Let's go and hop on over to X with Bliskovka. It says Defense Forces hit a number of important enemy facilities. Ryazan refinery, numerous explosions, and a significant fire were recorded. The enterprise produces 840,000 tons per year of aviation kerosene TS-1, which is used in particular by the Russian aerospace forces. Also, a radar station, Nebo-U, in temporarily occupied Ukraine, in Crimea, was reportedly hit overnight also by Ukrainian drones, and a military echelon in the Tokmak area of the TOT of the Zaporizhzhia region. That's going to be down in southern Ukraine, close to Crimea. We had a concentration of troops and an echelon that was hit over there, and then a concentration of enemy personnel near Vovchansk in the Kharkiv region. Okay, so very big news overnight. Lots of huge hits here to the Russian military. This was a picture coming out from the Ryazan oil refinery indicating a huge fire there. You can see a lot of these smokestacks. There's some right here and some larger ones on this side, and a huge fire there at the facility. So it looks like it took at least one direct hit. Some people were claiming that it got hit multiple times. Still waiting for more details, but clearly some sort of fire broke out on the plant. And I think the local governor of that region was claiming that falling debris fell onto the facility, starting fires. So that, once again, is possibly indicating that Ukraine obviously struck this place. That's usually what the Russians say. So we'll go ahead and keep moving here. Now from Drone Bomber. Approximate flight routes of our UAVs. Red arrow indicates directions of strike UAVs. Orange airplane indicates airfields where the planned cover has been declared. That means airports basically shutting down and halting operations when these drones come into the area inside of Russia. It says airports in Golenzik and Volgograd have introduced temporary restrictions on the arrival and departure of aircraft known as planned cover. All information regarding the routes is taken from Russian sources. Okay, so here's the map coming out from Drone Bomber overnight, showing a pretty large attack, a significant one, I must add, going into Russia. We can see some drones crossing up through Bryansk and Kursk regions. Not really sure of anything that was being hit up here aside from the Ryazan Oblast, where we have the Ryazan oil refinery. You can see some drones were heading that direction through the Kursk region. So we know for sure the Ryazan oil refinery was hit overnight. You can see some drones were also crossing over here to Saratov, where the Saratov oil refinery has still been burning for about 2 days. So I haven't heard any reports of any other strikes on those plants over there. Aside from that, up here in the Samara region, some drones were flying over there. Also, no reports of any hits in that area. Then a bunch of them going down here to southwestern Russia, like crossing through the Rostov region and also the occupied eastern areas of Ukraine. But we are going to talk about the port of Novorossiysk, as again, I do have some updates for you guys there today. But there's your map showing the amount of drones going into Russia overnight. Now from Anton Gerashenko. At night, drones attacked the Russian Ryazan, with local residents reporting a strike on the oil refinery. The falling debris from the shot-down drone caused a fire on the territory of one enterprise, Regional Governor Pavel Malkov said, without providing further details. If you notice, he didn't even state what enterprise it was. So obviously it was going to be the Ryazan oil refinery, which is being reported today as on fire. The Ryazan oil refinery is one of the 5 largest oil refineries in Russia. In terms of processing volume, its annual capacity exceeds 17 million tons of crude. So here's one of those pictures coming out from that area showing the night sky completely lit up like we showed you guys on the waiting screen when you came in. Clearly a major fire there at that plant. Here's video footage here now as well. No sound here in this video, so I'll just go ahead and mute that. But we can see if you look closely when they zoom in, there is a fire behind some of these smokestacks over there. So it looks like it is on the grounds of this facility. This oil refinery is currently on fire, so we're still waiting for more details. Maybe we'll get some pictures or videos coming out during the daytime that will clearly show that there is a fire coming from the facility. But based on this video here, it does look like it did catch on fire. So very big news there. Now, Igor Sushko, Russia, the night sky is crimson after multiple Ukrainian strikes on the Ryazan oil refinery, processing 5% of Russia's crude oil, 15.35 million tons annually, 309,000 barrels per day. Here's another video coming out from that area showing the night sky clearly lit up and a huge blaze coming from the Ryazan oil refinery. Okay, so this is the most I got right now. Again, maybe we'll get some more better videos and pictures coming out. It's obviously very late in the night when these videos were recorded, and some people were not close enough, or we had things in the way like these trees blocking where the fire is actually coming from. But it looks like it is on that Ryazan oil refinery. Now, Max 25, 3 NATO aircraft are conducting reconnaissance missions in the Black Sea theater of military operations. Annex Crimea and the Krasnodar Krai of Russia should prepare. Okay, so yeah, reports of 3 different reconnaissance aircraft. We got a Boeing P-8A Poseidon, and we got a Beach King Air 350ER/ALSR. Then this one here doesn't have any information. Looks like it says misconfigured or broken transmission. So yeah, we had for sure multiple aircraft here that were monitoring the area of the Black Sea off the coast of Crimea and also the port of Novorossiysk over here. So I wonder if they're gathering intelligence on some of these strikes. Obviously, the port of Novorossiysk is a big topic right now, as just the other night it completely got battered by Ukrainian drones and cruise missiles fired from Ukraine. So yeah, we're still waiting for more details on what's going on over here. Are we going to see another huge attack into this area of maybe Crimea and possibly the port of Novorossiysk or some of these areas down here in the Krasnodar Krai? Or is maybe these NATO aircraft kind of getting some intelligence and seeing how bad the destruction was to the port of Novorossiysk? Let me know what you think on why these aircraft might be patrolling down here in the Black Sea. Now, NOAA reports researcher M.T. Anderson analyzed satellite imagery of the Novorossiysk air defense site prior to the Neptune strike. He counted 7 S-400 launchers likely within the blast zone. Footage shows clear explosions and secondary detonation, now waiting on post-strike imagery to assess the damage. So here's a little Maxar image that was coming out from this area of the port of Novorossiysk that was indicating that up to 7 of these S-400 launchers were sitting here on site at the time of the attack. So it says in this area, looks like 3 of them were located right there. You can see 1, 2, and 3. Then over here on the left side of your screen, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so very possible when this strike was carried out, could we have had 7 S-400 launchers in total completely destroyed? We're still waiting for more details, but again, some people are stating today upwards of 4 could have been destroyed. I do have more information on that. So take a look at this from Tendar. The Ukrainian strike against the Russian air defense systems in Novorossiysk, Russia, was a full success. The satellite pictures confirm the SBU made a hole in the Russian air defense. 4 launchers of the S-400 Triumph SAM system were destroyed in Novorossiysk, according to UNIAN sources. 2 important radars were also destroyed: early warning 96N6 cheeseboard and target designation N2 92N6, gravestone. A source in the SBU emphasized that each such destroyed air defense system creates a hole in the defense that Ukrainian drones and missiles will definitely exploit. Makes you wonder if they're going to launch another huge attack if they did wipe out a lot of these launchers over here. It says, recall that on the night of November 14th, the Ukrainian Defense Forces also struck the oil terminal of the port of Novorossiysk, damaging infrastructure, pipelines, and pumping stations. So yeah, we know that attack was just absolutely massive, probably one of the largest attacks onto Russia to date. So this was some images coming out showing these launchers here, just like we saw earlier. So the date here was November 11th, 2025. Okay, it's just about 4 days ago. You can see 4 of these launchers right here, and then 3 more up here in this area. And then whenever we go over to this newer image that was just coming out today on November 15th, 2025, we can see, which would have been right here around this area, those launchers are no longer here. And if you look closely, it kind of looks like a burn spot right here. So I wonder if there was a huge fire that broke out and burned the ground right here. So possibly these launchers could have been destroyed. And then up here in this area where these other 3 or 4 launchers were right there, they just look like they moved. Okay, this area doesn't appear to be destroyed in the picture. It's kind of hard to tell, but for sure this area looks like lots of debris. So maybe the strike was right here in this area. Could have wiped out these 4 launchers that were here on the site of the port of Novorossiysk. So let me know what you guys think. It is a little bit hard to see with these photos, but share your thoughts and opinions down in the comments on that one. Now Max 25, Novorossiysk, another angle, according to OSINT, open source intelligence, MT Anderson. At the time of the strike of S-400 positions, there could have been up to 7 launchers. If this is confirmed by satellite images, then this will probably be the largest single strike on Russian air defense systems. So yeah, if we had 7 there, this definitely would be. This was a new video coming out. I'm going to show you guys this here real quick, about 30 seconds. Take a look at this.
Там еще что-то взрывается. Может, даже второй раз прилетело. Ёб твою мать!
All right, so we'll go ahead and pause there. Look at that huge secondary explosion after that first initial blast. So is it highly likely that we had a bunch of these air defense systems being destroyed? Again, some people indicating upwards of 4, maybe as high as all 7 of them could have been wiped out in this single strike. And apparently it was a Neptune cruise missile that struck this area, completely destroying some of these. So crazy video coming out. We didn't have this type of angle yesterday. We did have some videos of huge explosions, but this one very clear and not that far away from this potential air defense launch site. Now, War Translated, the Saratov oil refinery struck overnight is still burning, according to reports. The facility processes about 5.8 million tons of crude annually, roughly 2.2% of Russia's total refining capacity. So here's new video coming out from the Saratov region, where the Saratov oil refinery is located. And again, I did a whole video on this yesterday, letting you guys know that the Saratov oil refinery has halted operations, production of oil processing due to these recent strikes. It actually got attacked on Thursday night, and I think earlier this week, somewhere around Tuesday or Monday, we had Ukraine bombarding it again with drones. So it's been hit numerous times this past week, and apparently is now shut down for repairs. So crazy to see 2 days later, it is still burning. Clearly, that was a massive fire that is still clearly burning right now, and difficult for Russian authorities and firefighters to put the blaze out. And take a look at this also from War Translated. NASA satellite imagery shows the scale of the fire at Saratov oil refinery following yesterday's strike. So check that out from NASA fire maps, okay? Pretty much, I'd say the entire center of it is on fire. And very close to many of these oil storage tanks here also. I wonder if those are going to be catching a blaze, or maybe some of them are currently on fire right now. We're still waiting for more details on what exactly got hit over here, but clearly, according to NASA fire maps, this is a huge blaze coming from the Saratov oil refinery, and that obviously explains why 2 days later they have not been able to put the fire out. And Again, we did hear some preliminary reports coming out the other day when it got hit for the second time, going into Friday morning, that apparently got hit multiple times. So that explains why the fire was so massive over here at the facility. Now, Anton Gerashenko, several Russian Telegram channels are reporting a fire in Voronezh, Russia, near the Chemical Automatics Design Bureau, where engines for Iskander missile and Soyuz Proton and Angara rockets are produced. Meanwhile, the city's channels are mentioning nothing about the fire. One reports only about a glow in the sky near Shilovo work settlement and a suburb of Voronezh. There is no official information about what is happening in Voronezh. So you can see here the date, November 15th, right about 12:50 a.m., almost 1 a.m. my time is when this came out. We talked about this a little bit last night. I gave you guys a report that there was some sort of potential missile strike that could have been carried out by Ukraine onto this Chemical Automatics Design Bureau, located in the Voronezh region, not too far away from Ukraine. And they test rocket engines for missiles for the Russian military over here. And we did have some information last night that this could have been Ukraine carrying out this strike. And still, apparently, right now, no good information proving this was Ukraine that carried out this attack. All we know is that something was lit up in the skies over here, like you can see. We'll take a look at this one video here real quick. Let's jump into this one.
Это просто звук, это вообще невыносимый. И это не вертолет гудит, в том-то и дело. У нас тут все небо озарено очень сильно.
All right, so speculate down below what you think happened here. Do you think it was just some sort of explosion that took place over here in the Voronezh Oblast? Was this maybe this design bureau that took a direct hit from a Ukrainian missile? So far, Ukraine's general staff, their military has not confirmed any strikes over here, but let me know what you think is glowing over there. Something definitely blew up over here in the Voronezh Oblast. Now, Maria Drutska, according to latest reports, the Feodosia oil depot in occupied Crimea has been completely destroyed. After the most recent attacks this week, all remaining storage capacity at the depot has been eliminated and only damaged non-functional tanks remain. Drone sanctions work. So this is huge news. Take a look at this. As Feodosia oil terminal on November 14th, 2025, now reported to be fully non-functional. So how many times did we report this Feodosia oil depot being attacked in the last couple months? I'd say at least 2 or 3 times, sometimes being heavily attacked where we had, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these oil tanks being destroyed at a time. Now, apparently, even the oil tanks that are remaining are at least in some form non-functional because they've been heavily damaged, and a good majority of them have already been wiped out and destroyed. So it looks like the Feodosia oil terminal is completely gone and non-functional as of yesterday on November 14th. This is huge news because we know this oil depot is widely used for the Russian military down in Crimea and are used for active offensives onto the Ukrainians in the southern side, primarily in the Kherson and Zaporizhzhia region. So that's definitely going to cause some chaos within the Russian military and more widespread fuel shortages inside of Russia and occupied territories held by the Russians inside of Ukraine. Now, Ukrainian Review, death toll from yesterday's Russian attack on Kyiv rises to 7, according to KMVA. A woman who was injured during yesterday's shelling died in the hospital this morning. Very sad news to report. Just want to give you guys an update. After that huge attack onto Kyiv, there was more than 400 drones that were fired into Ukraine, most of them attacking into the capital of Kyiv. We had, I think, somewhere around 20 missiles that were fired also. And there was a lot of high-rise residential buildings that got hit, just like what you're looking at here. People's apartments were on fire. Apparently, there was even a firefighter within Kyiv, and his home was actually on fire while he was out helping other people, rescuing them from their homes. So pretty crazy what happened overnight. It was just a major attack onto Kyiv, and unfortunately, we have 7 people now losing their lives. I think yesterday it was at around 4 or 5 people that were confirmed to be dead. So very sad news. Just want to give you an update there. Now, Max 25, Trump is confident that the fighting in Ukraine will soon stop. This is a terrible, bloody massacre, he says. The biggest since World War II. We are putting pressure on them through India and oil. Other countries are also coming out because when Russia sells oil, it has money to act. I think we will solve it, hopefully soon. Over the last month, 25,000 soldiers have been killed on both sides about equally. All right, so let me know what you think about Trump's statements here. It's the first time he's really commented on this war at all in quite a while now. We don't really report much from Trump here, but he's claiming that he thinks the war is going to come to an end very soon. Now he's been saying this pretty much since he came into office earlier back in January, right? So this was him in an interview. Let me know if you think and agree with him that this war will come to an end soon, and if it does, how is that going to be the case? So far, we've been seeing Ukraine smashing some pretty critical targets like the Novorossiysk port that has got to be hurting Russia big time. And then with these sanctions coming from the United States onto these major oil companies of Rosneft and Lukoil, I'm sure right now they are suffering with their economy, but we'll have to see what's going to happen. Let me know if you agree with him on that. Now, Maria Drutska. A historic military aviation deal with France will be finalized soon, says Zelensky. That's the president of Ukraine. New air defense systems and combat aircraft are expected to be received soon after this agreement is finalized. What do you guys think? Will it be Rafales or something else? Okay, so we heard about this yesterday that apparently Vladimir Zelensky is trying to work out some historic military aviation deal with France right now. I think somewhere around Monday or Tuesday of next week, he's supposed to be meeting with Emmanuel Macron because also on Sunday, he's supposed to be heading to Greece to try to obtain as many Mirage 2000 fighter jets as they can get, because apparently the Greeks are going to be upgrading to Rafale fighter jets from what I heard. So I wonder if France is going to be handing over some Rafales over to Ukraine. Also, this could be very big, as we know Ukraine's also trying to upgrade their Air Force right now. They're trying to get Gripen fighter jets from also Sweden. So very big news. We could be hearing very soon over the next couple days about some major deals that are signed to upgrade Ukraine's Air Force. Very big news. Let me know what you think there. Now, Max 25, U.S. and Ukraine launch joint venture for drone production. American drone manufacturer AIRO Group and Ukrainian company NDG plan to create a transatlantic defense joint venture, AIRO Nord-Drone. The partnership will develop and produce drones for Ukraine, the U.S., and NATO countries. Currently, NDG produces about 4,000 drones per month, but production will be scaled up to 25,000 units. The American side will oversee production, research, and procurement, while the Ukrainian side will provide technology and production facilities. So isn't that amazing to hear? I mean, it's not often we get information out of the U.S. that they are partnering up with Ukraine on something, but apparently they're going to be helping out with drone production. So the U.S. and Ukraine working together, launching a joint venture. That is huge news because we know these drones are very effective with the Ukrainian military over there to stop the Russian forces, and the U.S. stepping up big, helping them out, producing these drones. So awesome news there. Now, Max 25, North Korea has more than half the volume of artillery ammunition supplies to Russia in 2025. This was announced by Vadim Skibitsky, deputy head of the GUR, in an interview with Reuters. The reason was the depletion of ammunition stocks in Pyongyang. Skibitsky noted that in September 2025, no shipment of shells from North Korea were recorded. Isn't that interesting? And in October, only limited deliveries were recorded. At the same time, about half of the ammunition turned out to be so outdated, they needed to be modernized at Russian factories. So that's a big problem for Russia also, right? We know they heavily rely on ammunition from the North Koreans. They've been supplying a lot of 155 millimeter shells for artillery for the Russian military. So that is huge to hear that a lot of the ammunition supplies coming from North Korea has been cut off due to lack of supplies, right? North Korea apparently is running out. So that is huge because that means that the Russians will have less of these shells to use on the front line, less ammunition. And we also haven't been seeing any pictures or anything like that coming out from Russia's Far East showing trains transferring, let's say, Koksan artillery guns. We saw a lot of that back towards the start of the year. We're not seeing anything like that. It's been really quiet in terms of North Korean support for the Russians. We've heard that they're sending over a few thousand, potential troops or people to help out with demining activities for the Russian military. But aside from that, not a whole lot of support coming from Pyongyang. Interesting news. Now, next up, Russia has shifted its energy terror tactics in Ukraine. Air defense is struggling to keep the grid intact. With the first cold days, Moscow launched a new wave of strikes on Ukraine's energy system, BBC reports. Power plants, substations, hydro facilities, and gas infrastructure are once again under fire, but this time the tactics have changed. Instead of exploiting weakness in air defense, Russia is now trying to cut off entire regions from the unified power grid, especially frontline and border areas in the east. The goal is to break the system along the Dnipro and isolate peripheral nodes that depend on just one or two plants. The attacks have also become harder to stop. Russia now uses swarms of Shahed drones and Iskander and ballistic missiles, which are extremely difficult to intercept. A few direct hits on a thermal power plant's machine hull can effectively wipe it out, and given the scale of the damage, scheduled blackouts in Ukraine may remain the norm until spring 2026. Here's a picture coming out from Ukraine just showing blackouts over there. We know that, many regions of Ukraine right now are experiencing rolling blackouts due to all these strikes on energy facilities. The Russians have really been picking up these hits big time, and apparently they're trying to knock out certain thermal power plants that would probably cause huge blackouts to potentially tens of thousands, maybe even millions of people inside of Ukraine in certain areas, especially near the front lines. We know this is Russia's major goal right now, is not only to take over the entirety of the Donbass region, which includes Donetsk and Luhansk regions. They want those to be taken militarily if they can't take them through a peace deal. And then on top of that, they want to put Ukraine into the dark. They want the Ukrainian civilians to suffer over there, because we know it gets very cold inside of Ukraine. If there's no heating and no power, there could be a lot of people potentially losing their lives, right, when it gets so cold over there. So definitely a very dangerous situation that's getting worse by the day with these major attacks, and the Russians are trying to still put the Ukrainians in the dark. Now check this out also from Alexander Sherba. Ukraine blackout. Kids still train football with the help of their parents. So here's this video showing some kids out playing. I guess in America we call it soccer, but I know some other countries they call it football. So whatever you want to label this as, but some kids out training for soccer or football here for their sports team. And we can see completely blacked out in this area. There's no light. And what these parents have done is set up their cars here and turn their lights on, so that way the kids can still practice. So this really shows how resilient the people are inside of Ukraine. Even though they lack power sources, they still find alternative ways to get things done, which is great to see. And those kids are still out training. So wonderful video there. Now, Ukrainian review. Russian military hits at the Dnipro warehouse of one of the country's two largest pharmaceutical distributors, Opta Pharm. According to EP, the warehouse was completely destroyed, but none of the employees were injured. The destroyed warehouse served the southern regions of Ukraine. So yet again, critical infrastructure being destroyed inside of Ukraine. This one going to be one of the largest pharmaceutical distributors, known as Optima Pharm. Okay, so not good to hear about this. Obviously, pharmaceuticals are very important to people. There's some people that rely on these things, and apparently the Russians hit a huge warehouse connected to this company and probably destroying a lot of pharmaceutical products. Not good to hear about that. We see a lot of critical infrastructure inside of Ukraine being destroyed, on top of obviously these energy strikes as well. Now, NOAA reports Ukraine's air defense intercepted 93 targets overnight. Russia launched 3 Kh-47M2 Kinzhal missiles and 135 attack drones, mostly Shaheds, from multiple directions. 2 Kinzhals and 91 drones were shot down. Some hits and debris were recorded at 17 locations. So still pretty large attack onto Ukraine, even though just the night before we had more than 400 drones or so being flown into Ukraine. So in this case, just about 93 or over 100 drones, going into Ukraine, and still some missiles also, but a good majority of them being taken down, 93 out of those 138. So great news there. Now, Kyiv Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of November 15th, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Now, our final update, Russia's losses as of November 15th, 1,000 troops, 19 AFVs, 90 vehicles and fuel tanks, 6 tanks, 20 artillery systems, 490 UAVs, 1 MLRS, 14 cruise missiles, 2 anti-aircraft warfare systems, and 2 special equipment. So right off the bat, I'm seeing a lot being destroyed here over the last 24 hours. We got 2 anti-aircraft warfare systems being destroyed. This number could even be higher, considering the strike on the Novorossiysk port. 2 special equipment wiped out there, 20 artillery systems, pretty good numbers there, and a multiple launch rocket system. Lately, this has been at 0. Looks like another one of those has been taken out. Tanks and AFVs, look at this, 6 tanks and 19, almost 20 AFVs destroyed. Looks like the Russians were carrying out some pretty heavy attacks, most likely around Pokrovsk, and getting wiped out. 90 vehicles and fuel tanks, about average numbers there, and then troop numbers still over 1,000, just barely reaching that limit. We've been seeing over 1,000 troops pretty much for the last week or so, almost every day. So guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in for today's update on November 15th, 2025. Hope you guys all have a great day out there. Take care and be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.